Recording in progress.
Did. I haven't even attempted to look. I need to see how. Yes.
Testing, testing.
The Quapaw Nation Business Committee regular meeting for Saturday, December 20th, 2025 will now come to order at 9 a.m. Member Gibbs Water, would you please lead us in the invocation?
Relatives, go along with me here just for a second. Wakanda, Wakanda, Jinka, coming to you here this morning time here on behalf of our O-Guah-Pah Shika here for our monthly business committee meeting. Father God, asking that you look down on us here today. Give us a good day of health here. Just a good day together here as we move forward through our nation's business here. Father God, that you can look at each one of us here, that you can look at our health and our homes, our families here, Father God, that you can bless us here with good, abundant life here, Father. Just asking that you overlook me here for praying to you here, for speaking before my elders here, Father God, that you can take care of each one of us here in a good way here. Let us move forward together here in the best way that best way that we can here, and take up for us here where we fall short for ourselves and each other here, Father God. Asking that you clear the way here for us for any of those unseen things on that other side of this life here, Father. We're just trying to do the best that we can here in this life. Just asking that you look over all those ones who are having a hard time here during these holiday seasons. Maybe those ones who are mourning, maybe those ones who are not in a good way here, Father. You can step in for them. You can look at them and help them out, lift them up here, let them feel good here, Father. Look at all of our people, wherever you find them at here, that you can let them feel something good here today as they move forward through their lives. I just want to ask you that much. Maybe I said too much or not enough, or maybe I missed something out, or if I didn't say something just right here, you can fix it for us. You fix it for me like that. I just want to say that much to you, that we love you and appreciate all that you do for us, for being such a good, kind father and friend. And go along with us here. I just want to say that much. I'm going to lay this prayer down here for a little bit, and somebody else, they're going to pick it up here and close this out in a little while. Go along with us. Amen.
Amen. Secretary Treasurer Valier, would you please take roll call and declare quorum?
Certainly, Madam Chair. Chair Supernaw,
Present.
Vice Chair McKibben,
Present.
Secretary Treasurer Valier, present. Member Mercer, Member Davis, present. Member Buffalo,
Present.
Member Gibbs Water.
Present.
Madam Chair, I declare quorum.
Would you please call for the orders of the day?
Madam Chair, I call for the orders of the day.
Business Committee, are there any corrections to the documents listed as part of the consent agenda? The consent agenda includes the November 15th, 2025 meeting minutes, the directors and subcommittee reports as submitted. Hearing no objections, we'll go ahead to the vote. All those in favor of adopting and approving the November 15th, 2025 meeting minutes, the directors and subcommittee reports as distributed, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it and the motion is adopted. The November 15th, 2025 meeting minutes, the directors and subcommittee reports are adopted as distributed. We'll go on to the Business Committee report. The following tribal members passed away since we last met: Gerald Ray Dunn, Walter Wayne Weiss. Please lift these Quapaw families and all families in your prayers, and please join me in a moment of silence. Gunagay. Member Mercer, would you please provide a Ray Property Homes O-Guah-Pah project update?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. This week, 2 more homes were released to be occupied. There should be another one ready next week. After that, we'll get back after the holidays on schedule, and hopefully we'll be able to do 2 a week till we finish up here. Houses 24, 5, and 6 are awaiting cabinets. 27, 8, and 9 are ready for drywall painting. Once that is completed, then they can finish up HVAC, the electrical, plumbing, all that can be set. Excuse me. Then they'll move right on. Electrical is completed. They have electricity all the way through house number 29. Driveways and the sidewalks are completed on all the houses. They are starting to do dirt work, level the yards, grounds on the last remaining up in the cul-de-sac, and then all yard work will be completed. And siding, we have 2 houses waiting and have been awaiting siding. They are supposed to start Monday and finish up the last 2 houses with siding. That will just about take care of it.
Thank you. Vice Chair McKibben, would you please provide an update on the MMIP task force organized by A.G. Drummond and the Oklahoma City Thunder event?
Yes, ma'am, gladly. Thank you. The MMIP is going to come to Northeast Oklahoma in April of 26, April 9th to be exact, that afternoon. Nathan Coleman and Bo Hamlin, as I mentioned last month, were able to go to Oklahoma City to attend the meeting in person. I believe the plan is to host regional meetings to kick this off, so that way they can get the challenges identified associated with the MMIP problem that we know exists, and find the most pressing issues in each region, so they can kind of hopefully compile a game plan and really attack this problem that we know is out there and exists. Then on November 19th, the Thunder and FAM Museum hosted a Tribal Appreciation Day. All the tribes across Oklahoma were able to attend, and actually it was a real great thing for the kids, because a lot of kids in Indian Ed and JOM programs across Oklahoma got to go to a Thunder game, and we know that's not an opportunity that is very often for a lot of folks in our native communities. So they hosted a thing for the kids, and over 2,000 kids got to go out on the Thunder floor and run around and just enjoy being there. And then at the luncheon, it was hosted by the FAM Museum, and of course the mayor of Oklahoma City, David Holt, he is always present in anything native. He's very supportive of the native communities, which he's also Osage. And then the Thunder DJ, MC1, his name's Marcus Anthony Gwynn. He's also Osage in Potawatomi in Delaware. And he goes around, he grew up in a very troubled background and difficult upbringing. And he now goes around and speaks to different organizations, kids groups, things all around the country, because he's with Nike as well. And so Nike kind of helps him go around, and he gets to talk about the difficulties facing young kids these days, especially our native kids, how we know drugs, alcohol, and things like that are such a problem. And he tells them his background and his story, and kind of is just really a positive role model for our native youth, or youth in general, actually. And then also, there was a young lady named Lakota Beatty, who's from Anadarko, and she's Caddo and some Sioux, and she also was talking at the luncheon. She's with Nike and N7 as well, and they go around also. She's a positive role model. She's like the Anadarko all-time leading scorer in Oklahoma, and went to 4 state tournaments, won a couple state championships. So she's really a great basketball player. She played professional in New Zealand some. So she goes around and also helps with the sponsorships. And then Nike had the N7 director, Izzy Asana, and she goes around and gets funds for these different places that need them. And including in that is our Ottawa County Boys and Girls Club. So Nike N7 sponsors our, not totally sponsors, but they contribute to our Ottawa County Boys and Girls Club. So that's a real positive thing. I did not know that until I attended this luncheon. So it was really a great event and I was fortunate to attend. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Gibbswater, would you please give an update on the powwow grounds and longhouse improvements?
Yeah, longhouse is complete. Probably going to wait till the springtime. We're in there to maybe have a rededication and have another dinner in there, or maybe even couple it along with the spring gathering. The powwow grounds project, we're still waiting on the final 3D rendering of the project, so that way there's an actual video and everybody doesn't have to read complex plans. Just try to make it easier, for people to see and read. That's due somewhere in the middle to late January. And the powwow committee chairman asked me if I would announce the winner of the t-shirt contest for the powwow committee is Emma McKibben. So wherever Emma is, she did a good job. They told me to tell you, you guys would all get to see the design when the t-shirts come out. Tell me nothing else. But anyways, that's all I got. Yeah.
Thank you. Member Davis, would you please give an update on the work you were doing with the U.S. Department of the Interior Wildland Fire Program Unification?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Hawaii. The U.S. Department of the Interior has taken notable steps to streamline and strengthen its wildlife management capabilities. This is reflected in the recent signing of Secretarial Order 3443, elevating and unifying the Department of the Interior's Wildland Fire Management Program, and Executive Order 14308, empowering common sense wildfire prevention and response. As outlined in Secretarial Order 3443, the Department's Wildland Fire Management Program provides fire mitigation and response services across more than 500 million acres of public and tribal lands. These lands are managed by the Bureau of Indian Affairs, the Bureau of Land Management, the National Park Service, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. As these initiatives move forward, and the department is seeking more efficiency and effective use of its resources, it is vital for the department to obtain tribal perspectives. Currently, I'm working with the nation's forestry department and other staff members to develop a partnership with the BIA. This partnership will be done through a cooperative agreement. This agreement will include training and certification standards to ensure wildland fire personnel from all jurisdictions can operate safely and effectively together. As we continue to meet and strive toward obtaining the cooperative agreement, I will provide updates. Ganagay.
Thank you. Secretary Treasurer Valier, would you please address subcommittee vacancies and appointments?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Bear with me here. There's a lot. We're at December, so it's time to do reappointments as well as appointments and announce vacancies, so bear with me. Cemetery. The following are being appointed or reappointed to the Cemetery Committee with a term expiration date of December 2026. Eric Eby, Linda Davis, and Lloyd Buffalo. Does the BC concur with the reappointments to the Cemetery Subcommittee?
Yes.
Yes. BC concurrence. Constitution. The following are being reappointed to the Constitution Committee with a term expiration date of December 2026 or until their work is complete, whichever comes first. Vance Gilmore, Mikhail Whitecrow, Melissa Morris, Nathan Phelps, and Robin Kahiga. Does the BC concur with the reappointments to the Constitution Committee?
Yes.
BC concurrence. No. Culture. The following are being reappointed to the Culture Committee with a term expiration date of December 2026. Barbara Collier, Everett Bandy, Bill Griffin, Bladen Stand, Charlene Button, Risa Supernaw Proctor, and Sean Ellick. Does the BC concur with the reappointments to the Culture Subcommittee?
Yes.
BC concurrence. Emergency Financial Assistance. The following are being reappointed to the Emergency Financial Assistance Committee with the term expiration date of December 2026. Sarah Hyatt, Beverly Jones, Patty Rice, and Todd Weaver. Does the BC concur with the reappointments to the Emergency Financial Assistance?
Yes.
BC concurrence. Enrollment. The following are being appointed or reappointed to the Enrollment Committee with the term expiration date of December 2026. Charlene Button, Debbie Ray, Grace Goodeagle, and Lloyd Buffalo. Does the BC concur with the reappointments to the Enrollment Committee?
Yes.
BC concurrence. Events. The following are being appointed to the Events Committee with a term expiration date of December 2026. Mary Jacobs, Chance Turley, Jean Ann Blaylock, Elizabeth Scott, Karen Hildreth, Larry Kropp, Melissa Gaines, and Shelane Mosier. Does the BC concur with the reappointments to the Events Committee?
Yes.
BC concurrence. No recusals. Grounds. The following are being reappointed to the Grounds Committee with the term expiration date of December 2026. Chayton Ellick, Abigail Logan, Bladen Stand, Charles Bertram, Corey Scott, Don Caldwell, and Jeremy Olson. Does the BC concur with the reappointments to the Grounds Subcommittee?
Yes.
BC concurrence. New Enterprise Development Committee. The following are being reappointed to the New Enterprise Development Committee with the term expiration date of December 2026. Austin Headley, Debbie Ray, Gavin McCarty, Michelle Bowden, and Brian Jennings. Does the BC concur with the reappointments to the New Enterprise Development Subcommittee?
Yes.
BC concurrence with one recusal. The following are being newly appointed to the New Enterprise Development Committee with the term expiration date of December 2026. Perry Matthews and Jennifer Mueller. Does the BC concur with the new appointments to the New Enterprise Development Subcommittee?
Yes.
BC concurrence with one recusal. Resident Housing. The following are being reappointed to the Resident Housing Committee with the term expiration date of December 2026. Chayton Ellick, Rachel Bandy, Barbara Horn, Billy Ellick, and Don Caldwell. Does the BC concur with the reappointments to the Resident Housing Subcommittee?
Yes.
BC concurrence. The following subcommittees currently have vacancies and are seeking interested parties to serve. Emergency Financial Assistance, Enrollment, and Events. Again, there are vacancies in Emergency Financial Assistance, Enrollment, and events. If you are interested in serving on any of the aforementioned subcommittees, please send an email to brent.devine@quapawnation.com along with a statement of how you can feel you can contribute to the subcommittee, as well as all appropriate contact information. The deadline for applying for the subcommittee vacancies is the end of business Friday, January 9th, 2026. And again,
Thank you. On November 19th, I provided testimony on H.R. 5696 Streamline Act. It stands for Strengthening Tribal Real Estate Authority and Modernizing Land for Indigenous Nation Expansion Act before the U.S. House Committee on Natural Resources and Indian Affairs Subcommittee. The legislation was introduced by Congressman LaMalfa of California and is attempting to improve and streamline required BIA realty activities. After providing testimony, additional questions and answers were included in the official record. During that same trip, meetings were also held with Representative Jeff Hurd of Colorado, Chairman Subcommittee on Indian Affairs, Senator John Bozeman, Arkansas. He chairs the Senate Agricultural Committee. Office of Senator Mark Wayne Mullen of Oklahoma, of course, Representative Bruce Westerman of Arkansas, who chairs the Natural Resources Committee. We not only discussed H.R. 5696, but also the bear settlement and the Commodities Futures Trading Commission prediction markets, where there is a need for Congress to act banning the prediction markets. And I want to thank Trenton Stand for his contributions in that providing that testimony. Thank you, Trenton. Member Buffalo, would you provide an update on the bear settlement?
Yes, Madam Chair. This information comes from the attorneys and the lobbying firm. Just wanted to give you a quick update on where we stand going into the last week of Congress session in D.C. this year. Senator Mullins and Lankford have asked the Senate Indian Affairs Committee to hold a hearing on the bill as introduced. Looking forward, this comes from Pace, predict happening in February. We should have a better idea in the new year. Subsequent with the chair meeting with Chairman Westerman, discussion heated back up on the House bill. Rasheen is being frustrated with the lack of priority resources committee staff are putting on this as well, and even believes that the staff gave his team incorrect information about how the offsets work. Congressman and chairman are scheduling a meeting to discuss your bill and give the mistakes and delays. Machine staff believe that they will have get some sympathy from the chairman, which will work in our favor. Sheen and Mullen have discussed what happens after committee consideration. Both agree that we should target including our bill as an amendment to the 2027 National Defense Authorization Act, NDAA. Recall, this is our belief. The Barker team remains supportive, but are now only playing a supporting character role. It's clear that the tribe is greatly outpacing the Barker group in terms of outreach and advocacy. Modest changes we have agreed to thus far all move the bill in the tribe's favor. We will expect that it will continue when needed in the future. And Pace says, while I would have liked to see a bit more formal action over the last 3 months, all things considered, Pace believes we are on track to have a real shot at passing this by the end of the year. There will inevitably be more hurdles, but progress being made. As a closing statement, I'd like to thank the chairman for all the work she's done in trying to get this bill through.
Regarding the federal government shutdown, the good news is the shutdown was over on November the 12th, and our hope is we don't have a repeat shutdown like January, but that may be where we're heading. So we'll continue to monitor that situation very closely and communicate any impacts that we may see. All right, let's go on to some past events. There have been some great things that have happened. Last month in November, the language department held a 3-part class on making a corn husk doll while also incorporating the O-gah-pah language into the creation process, and we want to thank them for that. The Quapaw Nation higher education classes were held in November, and then we'll have some in January as well. So, and that was for service members and veteran classes on November 5th and 19th. And beginning in January, a new series of Wednesday workshops will be held at the community building, focusing on financial aid and scholarship opportunities for high school, undergraduate, graduate, and postgrad students. Sessions will be offered at 6 p.m. and 7:45. These workshops are free and open to the public. A complete schedule is available on the nation's website under the education page and the events calendar. Registration is required for all workshops, and all participants, both in person and virtual, will be entered into a drawing for a gift card. There was also the Warm a Child's Heart Fall and Winter Clothing Donation Drive, and that program expired on December the 1st, but I did want to point out that they successfully collected a total of 1,351 items to help children in need. And if perhaps you missed the drive and would still like to donate, you can contact the Juvenile Affairs Manager, Tiffany Hembry. We've got a lot of very generous folks in our community, and it's wonderful. There was a Project iGuardian presentation on December the 3rd by a gentleman named Anthony Meter, a computer forensic specialist. He gave a presentation at the fitness center on how to keep your child safer online. The class was free and open to parents and adults 18 years of age and older. Those in attendance receive free professional safety tips on subjects such as cyberbullying, dangerous applications, dark web, sextortion, human trafficking, sexting, fentanyl, and more. The STEM team and the STEM team and Family Services, they held a fundraiser on December the 5th. They had a baked potato bar lunch and silent auction fundraiser at the farmers market. All proceeds went towards supporting the educational initiatives for our youth and assisted in raising money to complete a living playground and a therapeutic garden for Family Services Safe Homes. There was a cultural book giveaway on December the 5th. The Quapaw Historic Preservation Program had a cultural skills book giveaway at the Robert Whitebird Cultural Center. They allowed one book per household. The material was produced with assistance from the Historic Preservation Fund, administered by the National Park Service, Department of the Interior, under a grant. Of course, we had the food distribution December the 8th through the 13th, and that was 1,204 participants. So I think that's a high watermark that we've achieved for participation in that. The children's Christmas party was held on December the 13th, and it was a great success for the kiddos ages 0 to 18. My understanding is that some of the kids couldn't get themselves out of the bouncy house, but the Quapaw children were eligible to receive a $50 Christmas check from the Quapaw Nation. The museum open house was held on December the 14th, very successful. They had refreshments, door prizes, and a gift shop sale with 25% off. I hope y'all didn't miss that. The event was sponsored by the Quapaw Nation Cultural Committee and the Quapaw Nation Museum. The O-gah-pah Learning Center held a toy drive on December the 19th. All donations were given to the Family Services Department, which will gift them to the children they provide services to. Regarding upcoming events, later today, there's the Elders Christmas Dinner. I'm sure we'll hear more about that. That starts at 3 o'clock for the social hour this afternoon. The administrative office closure for Christmas and New Year's Eve is December the 24th through the 25th, so that's next Wednesday and Thursday, and then on January the 1st. The administration offices will be closed in observance of Christmas and New Year. The STEM Fair will be held on January the 19th, and that is, January the 12th at the Quapaw Nation Fitness Center. The event is open to Native American students in grades K through 12 and aims to inspire young learners to explore science, technology, engineering, and math through hands-on projects and creative problem solving. The fair offers a wonderful opportunity for students to showcase their curiosity and innovation beyond the classroom. Prizes will be awarded to outstanding projects across various grade levels in STEM categories, providing motivation while fostering confidence and a sense of accomplishment. This year marks the event's 5th anniversary and will feature 19 participating students, we hope, representing 5 different tribal nations. The Culture in Color at the Joplin Public Library is still going on, and that'll be true until January the 15th. So just wanted to remind everybody to stop by and visit that because it really is pretty remarkable. There is a Remembrance Walk, January 10th through March the 7th. This year marks 200 years since our ancestors walked approximately 184 miles from Arkansas to Louisiana. To honor their journey, the Quapaw Historic Preservation Program invites you to walk with them in memory, in community, and in strength. They'll meet at 1 p.m. every Saturday at the community building to walk 2 miles together. Afterward, the group will return to the community building for discussion. Outside of Saturdays, everyone is encouraged to walk on their own or with friends, aiming to reach a total of 184 miles by March 1st. They walked, we remember. Contact the Historic Preservation Department to receive a packet and sign up. For 2026, the Fitness Center is launching a Commit to be Fit in 26 weight loss challenge. It's running January the 16th through March the 13th. Participants complete their official weigh-ins anytime between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. on both the opening and closing dates. The challenge features separate men's and women's divisions, each offering 3 top place awards, along with 2 consolation prizes in each division based on visit frequency for those who do not place in the main weight loss competition. It's a great opportunity to stay motivated, stay consistent, and kick off 2026 with a healthier you. Family Services Youth Connection Program classes, they'll be putting on a drumstick making class with Wade Blevins on December the 5th, and they have another one scheduled for January the 9th. They also scheduled 3 classes during the month of February. First is a concho belt class from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. on February the 7th, which is at full capacity, and then a 2-day ribbon work pillow class on February 14th and 15th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., and they'll be having a 2-day class February 28th and March 1st from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. on making stomp dance cans. All classes will take place at the Cahota Center and are open to ages 5 to 24. No prior experience is necessary, and all supplies will be provided. Parents and guardians are encouraged to participate alongside their youth. These opportunities are made possible by our youth director, Kristen Keys, and are generously sponsored through a federal SAMHSA grant. To register, please contact the Family Services Youth Department. The Youth Department and the Indian Child Welfare Department are doing some how-to videos. And they've teamed up to create instructional how-to videos featuring the classes they offer. So far, O-Guah-Pah Communications has produced tutorials on making a long beaded necklace and a bandolier. These videos are now available online on the Family Service page for easy access. Stay tuned for more videos, Crafting with Kristen. Powwow Committee is holding a couple of fundraisers. They've organized a group gourd dance and hand game on February 14th at the Miami Council House. Gourd dancing begins at 1 p.m., followed by a supper break at 5, and the hand game will start at 6. On March the 7th, they'll hold a co-ed 3-on-3 basketball tournament at the Fitness Center with a $45 entry fee. Registration opens at 8 a.m. and games begin at 9 a.m. Then on May the 31st, they'll be hosting a 4-man scramble golf tournament at Eagle Creek Golf Course with a team entry fee of $300. Registration starts at 8 and tee-off is at 9 a.m. Please see the Flyers website for more details. There is Spring Gathering Powwow that's scheduled for March the 28th and will be sponsored by the Events Committee, the Fitness Center, CCDF, the Quapaw Historic Preservation Program, Quapaw Cattle Company, Youth Connections, Family Services, Higher Education, the Supernaw Family, and the Grounds Committee. The day will begin with a 5K and 1-mile fun run at the Fitness Center, followed by an Easter egg hunt and inflatables for the children. Later in the afternoon at Beaver Springs Park, there will be a community meal, crafts, a fashion show, a foot race, cornhole, and a youth powwow. Gourd dancing begins at 3 p.m. with grand entry at 7 p.m., followed by a variety of dances ending with a stomp dance. Campgrounds will be open from Friday evening through Sunday afternoon. Room blocks have also already been arranged at Downstream and are available to Quapaw citizens. Please see the flyer or visit the website for additional details. Those are all the upcoming events. We'll go on to the gaming facility financials. For Quapaw Casino, October 2025 was a very good month and a great way to start the year for Quapaw Casino. For the month ending October the 31st, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, EBITDA, totaled $382,000 with a margin of 18.7%. That's a little bit below industry average, but it was only by $26,000. October's results were right on mark with budget expectation and represents a small increase of $9,000 from October of last year. Fiscal year 2026 started off great to meet 2026 goals. The main contributing factor to the positive year-over-year comparison was their increase in gaming, food, and fuel revenue, while the main contributing factor to the positive budget comparison was their expense control. Considerable progress has been made on the new Quapaw Casino facility and 68% complete as of this week. Stay tuned for opening details and dates from the Quapaw Casino Authority. Downstream Casino and Resort, November was a very successful month and another great month for the year. For the month ending November 30th, EBITDA totaled $8.4 million with a margin of 46.9%, which exceeds industry average. November results exceeded this as well as our budgeted expectations. This is an extraordinary start to fiscal year 2026. The year-over-year expense comparison did show a large decrease due to higher table games player pool and lower insurance claims and contract entertainment. Our next quarterly mandatory payment of $6.5 million will be due on December the 31st, so right around the corner. However, they'll continue the path of paying $7.5 million quarterly payments if approved, maybe even some additional debt repayments. On to Saracen. Net gaming revenue in November finished with a solid $17.2 million for our seventh best gaming revenue month. Slots handles continue to see significant increases compared to prior year, with handle up 11%, but revenue down 2.2% due to a lower hold. Sportsbook handle, which is the number of bets placed, that's up 16.4% over prior year, and sportsbook win finished down to prior year, the all-time best sportsbook month for Saracen, and a budget as a hold of 7.1% compared to prior year of 13.4%. Saracen finished the fiscal year 2025 with 52.1% of the gaming revenue for the Central Arkansas gaming market, which is an increase from 50.8% for fiscal year 2024. This occurred even though our primary competitor, Oaklawn, has had a hotel and event center for several years now and a 6-month horse racing season and located in Hot Springs, the #1 vacation destination for Arkansas. Great progress has been made on the development of the hotel and event center. From a budget perspective, the development is about 81.8% of the guaranteed maximum price for the general contractor through the end of November and 76% of the total budget. Most of the funding, 67.4%, has been generated from cash flow from operations. Utilization of the revolving line of credit supplements cash flow with every effort to minimize the number and amounts of draws. Updates on when the facility will open to the public will be forthcoming with a preliminary date of the first quarter of calendar year 2026. This concludes the business committee report. Ganagay. Let's go on to the subcommittee reports. Can we get a microphone to Grace for the O-gah-pah Wisdom Keepers?
The Wisdom Keepers did meet on December the 4th. We had a short business meeting because we spent most of our time talking about the upcoming Christmas dinner. We've been very pleased with the response of everyone on that. We are expecting about 300 people, elders, and their guests, and that's starting this afternoon at 3 o'clock. Just to mention then, we'll be talking about some of the things that we have in mind for 2026, but then to also mention our next meeting will be in January. Usually we meet on the first Thursday of the month. In 2026, January 1st is that Thursday, so we decided we would instead meet January 8th. So see most of you this afternoon.
Thank you so much, Grace. Cultural Committee, Barbara Collier.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The cultural committee had a pretty short meeting last week also. We did talk about the crowns that the princesses in the past haven't received, and there were 2 crowns received, I believe, from Lana, and 2 others that were ordered from someone else. So we're getting probably a 6 or 8 crowns to continue on for the past and present future for the princesses, the elected the nation's princesses or the powwow princess. So it looks like that's taken care of, that issue. We did, as you said, plan for the March 28th spring gathering, and hopefully the weather will be cooperative and let us have it at the powwow grounds. We'll wait and see. Usually rains during that time, but we'll see. Also, our meeting this next month will be January the 18th, I think it is, at 1. So everyone's invited to attend if they choose, or if you have an issue. We are going to discuss the coloring book that's been made. I don't know if that was supposed to be passed out at the children's party, but we haven't had an opportunity to look at the history of it yet as a cultural committee, but we know that it's probably up and coming and going, and be a wonderful tool. We're also going to talk with Carissa, as she was wanting to send out something now with to those children that might be fostered or adopted out in other places other than around this area, so that they too could know their history and some of the background of the tribe as tribal members. So we're going to meet with her next time, as well as those from downstream that have asked for our assistance with the new Red Oak remodel. So that's about it.
Thank you so much. Vance Gilmore, Constitution Committee.
Good morning.
Good morning.
On. You hear me? Okay. I'm happy to report that the Stanford Public Policy Lab has completed their work, and I would like to publicly thank Professor Elizabeth Reese and the 6 law students who were in the Public Policy Lab at Stanford. And I would also like to thank Quapaw Nation member Ani Johnson Jennings, who was the teaching assistant in the Public Policy Lab. From September to December 12th, these individuals put in 700 hours reviewing our Constitution. The work was extensive, and the product is one of quality. The documents completed by this group are now posted on our tribal website, and there are multiple documents when you go, if you go to the website, which I would really encourage you to do. They truly warrant your review and the review of all our nation. What you may want to do, it's totally up to you, but if you start with the video, you may find that helpful. So you'll see there's a video. Then what I recommend is then you go to the Constitution document and then go to the memo that backs up the Constitution. Please do it any way that you'd like, but I have found that helpful in the process and in reviewing. What we would like to hear from you on, we'd like to hear from you on all of it, but a very short-term little goal is if you'll log how long it took you to do that, we'd like to know that. The format of the document is to spread out. Our initial draft was 30 pages long. The draft of the Constitution is 18 pages long, and that was to try to make that body more concise. But there are additional documents that really in the long run is probably not more concise, but the actual document it is itself. And when you get into it, you will see that there's called super statutes, and I just encourage you to look at it. But no, a piece of it is super statutes that make the process hopefully a little bit better. When you review the documents, I believe that you will see that the Stanford group heard the Quapaw Nation. When you look at accountability, when you look at terms of offices, in my opinion, Stanford did not just pull anything from the air and put it in there. What is in the document is the feedback that was given to you. And the feedback from September to December has been extensive. And I would like to thank all of you that gave feedback. The committees were met with, the town hall was successful. Prior to this, not from lack of effort by Roman or anyone else, we had not had the degree of feedback that we've been able to gather this fall. And that has, you'll see it reflected in the document when you look at those documents. There have been some critical changes, and so I encourage you to note those critical changes, and particularly when you look at General Counsel, Indian Counsel, again, you will see that you were heard. And I just really encourage you to take the time to review the documents. Once you do, so what's going to occur is in January and February, the Constitution Committee will be looking at the documents, and we also want to hear your feedback. So please join us on Tuesday nights at 6:30 if you have questions, or if you wish to get me your questions or your feedback, please do. What we will do is we're going to gather all that information, and then we're going to have a comprehensive meeting with Professor Reese and ask her response to our questions and the feedback that we have gathered. Please note that there are legal aspects to a constitution, and it is a serious document. And so it has to be constructed in a certain way. But we want your feedback. We want to hear from you. But I do want you to know that the document has to be constructed in a certain way. And as well, it's a very critical document to our nation and to us. There's just a few things I'd like to note regarding the fall and what has occurred and what has some other things that have occurred and taken place. There's been extensive research completed on our governing resolution. There's a little more work to do there before I'd really like to address it publicly, but that is my goal. I spent yesterday afternoon at the Ottawa County Historical Society and was able to access some documents that are not in our archives. The tribe's minutes stop at 1962. The Historical Societies, through Velma Nieberdine's work, go further back. I would like to point out that the Business Committee has been independent in this process. I have submitted a progress report regularly, but the BC has stayed independent in this process. The current Constitution committees are, you heard earlier, but Nathan Phelps, Roman Cahiga, Melissa Morris, Mikkel Whitecrow, and myself, and Ani Johnson Jennings did attend all the meetings this past fall as our liaison to Stanford. So now it's time for the next steps. And the most critical thing you can do is to review those documents. Go online, review the documents, and ask your questions. If you would, rather than have the philosophy, I'm going to look for what's wrong, I encourage you to look for what's good and look for how you can see how your feedback ended up in the document, okay? So other than that, the only thing I'd like to do is the staff, every staff member I work with at the Quapaw Nation is professional and extremely helpful. And I want you all to know that I appreciate that.
Thank you, Vance. Election Committee, Lori Schaefer.
Good morning.
Morning.
There's not a whole lot new to share. We did meet with Vance and members of the Constitution Committee last night just to go over the draft of the Constitution. And the only other thing new is in January, we'll be gearing up for the annual election and setting our timeline up. So that's it.
forward to it. Thank you. Let's see. Anything for Cybersecurity Planning Committee, Mikhail?
Yes, Madam Chair. The Cybersecurity Planning Committee is going to plan to have our next meeting in around March or April once the vacancy is filled. And that I can give you a more exact date after I speak with him. And I also want to remind everybody, especially the other subcommittees, that starting at the start of this next year, we're going to start requiring that committee members who use email to start using Quapaw Nation email. So you'll need to coordinate with the IT department, particularly myself or Mikey, to get with us to start setting up those accounts.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Are there any other subcommittees that would like to give an update this morning? Okay, let's go on to the executive director reports. The executive director reports are targeted to the business committee. If others in attendance this morning have questions regarding their reports, please pose those during open forum. Their reports were posted to the tribal website earlier this week, and we'll now hear brief summaries of those reports directly from the executive directors. Eric Boone, CFO. So you're ready to go this morning.
Good morning. November, the general fund revenue was 3.9 million, bringing our total for the 2 months completed in the fiscal year to 6.8 million. Actual expenses for November, 2.9 million, bringing our total for the 2 months to 5.6 million. Our tribal member health benefit for the month of November was 300,000, bringing our total for the 2 months to 760,000. Other highlights, our CCDF program was able to assist 190 children and their families and 46 daycare facilities in November. And our tax revenue for November was down a little bit to 138,000 for the month. I think that is my highlights for November. Thank you.
Thank you. Trenton Stand, Executive Director, Resource Management.
Good morning.
Morning.
Let's go. All right. So just to cover a few things that may not have been directly in the report. The food sovereignty side, you did list the total people that signed up. Of those, there was 1,125 that actually then end up either through the waiting list or came and picked up the meat distribution. So their food sovereignty also, they're just with the government, everything opening back up, they're working towards looking at grants and funding opportunities. The Arbor Day funding is back on the table. They're just finalizing now when and how that's going to be distributed. So that was some good news for them because that was a big project. So the Linda Davis, appreciate the work with forestry and those ongoing efforts with cooperative agreements. We've been still in communication, or Allie has, with the BIA over the RTRL project, getting some feedback there and staying on top of their Mineral Heights projects and things. The environmental department has really been working hard with EPA and the state trying to push funding tables along a little quicker. QSA currently is kind of outpacing the planning, which is a good and kind of bad problem. Then government shutdown caused all kinds of issues. So there's a lot of planning that's ongoing there on that side. But you'll see on your way to Baxter on the west side of 66, pretty much last week they started bringing some equipment out. They started clearing and grubbing this past week, so that's a new project. That's a state job there. Environmental's been working hard through multiple meetings over some opportunities for quantifying and qualifying some critical minerals. That's ever ongoing. There's some funding available that the first of the year we're looking to support or submit an application to try to obtain some of that. And that's just to try to quantify our gallium, germanium, zinc that may be out there in the Superfund site and to further expedite cleanup. Sorry, my phone went off on me. We've been working recent over the PFAS stuff. So those are your forever chemicals. We're trying to get everything in line to submit our claim Monday of this coming week to ensure we get funding for testing for all of our public water systems within the reservation. So we were figuring out kind of through the stuff provided through the Intertribal Council that you guys sent to me, what is a partnership and when do those partnerships with public water systems need to occur. So I think through the people that presented at ITC and Tribes Legal Counsel, I think we got a plan now, and that was the portion that we've worked on in the past. We've done some sampling up at Downstream for PFAS, and Eric Giles already has an account through that setup, so I'll just be getting the information to him to upload. So let's see. On the conservation side of things, we're hopeful that in January we will have the polished Fish and Wildlife Code, but he's been working hard reviewing that, going back and forth with legal on it. So we hope to have that to you guys to be able to review and hopefully present for the January meeting. And then ongoing chronic wasting disease testing has occurred to date with no positive cases, which is great to my knowledge, unless anything's changed on that. So he's giving me a thumbs up back there. That's good. Realty had their audit completed, and as I mentioned to you guys in our meetings, there was only going to be one issue, and that was the conservation plan aspect of it. It's a federal requirement. However, the Bureau really doesn't have one to use as an example, which has always been a problem. So we've used NRCS site-specific plans to meet that requirement, which has been something that is accepted on the Bureau side, but then the Bureau's audited by, it used to be OST side, which that may still be the case, but that's not day-to-day working on the Bureau side of the fence, so they have a box to check, and we don't check that box, even though what the NRCS provides is more site-specific than an overarching plan that covers the entire reservation. Nonetheless, Stacia's already working on getting some quotes for people to be able to put that plan together. And she had already previously been trying to get draft plans and things for that, because we've known it's been an issue. It's just not anything super critical, because we feel like what we're providing is actually a little better than an overarching plan, but that is on the way. So I'd like to thank her and her staff for the additional information for your testimony, that they spent quite a bit of time there as well, understanding the bill and how it needs to really help Indian country, in our opinion. They did resolve a fee to trust issue, not a fee to trust, sorry, an undivided interest of fee interest at Ottawa County this past month, which was kind of reassuring that we didn't really have to fight with them a whole lot. They just took the information over and agreed with the realty office, and that ended up stopping a hunting dispute that we was having during November, which is not the greatest time to have those. But that was cleared up, and on that side, the Arkansas fee to trust was submitted. So they're going through the comment period of that, because we have new superintendent, as you guys are all aware of, but now it's uncertainty as to where does this fee to trust packet need to go? Does it need to go to Nashville because it's in Eastern Region, or can it stay local because we're here? So there's some comments going back and forth on that to figure out how they want that handled. Quapaw Cattle Company side, for 2026, through some work Mitch has done with Cherokee Nation, the bison side revenue's already been met through some agreements with them. So that was a big win real quick. So everything on that side should look very good, being that he's already met those numbers. Feed yard billing's been great so far. So on that side, he slowed down on purchasing animals ourselves, looking to take advantage of the market later in the spring when prices are lower, and then sell them later in the summer when prices are higher. So that's kind of the practice, try to buy low, sell high type thing anyways. Let's see. Processing plant, some new news there. January, we're looking to hopefully have everything in line with a customer to roll out or to be able to service them more by rolling out a metal detection system, which will meets their requirements for grind. So we'll be able to handle more of their product instead of boxing and shipping it to them for further processing elsewhere. So we'll be able to keep more of that revenue in house. And I know a couple of you was at their Christmas get together last night that they mentioned there's at least one bacon project that we're hoping goes through, because that will be a good deal for us if we can have that business generated, because they would just be sending us basically bellies and we'd be turning it into bacon. So Wade's very hopeful that that works out, and then another deal kicks off a little bit better first of the year with a client that's not new, but they're looking to upscale. So QSA side, as mentioned, they started a new project, but they've also closed out a few projects. So through that, I've been discussing with legal everything that we need to be able to step outside, maybe bid on some outside world dirt projects just to help offset some of the slower time. And we know that the EPA funding is decreasing back down to the minimum that it was before all the bills money was influxed into Superfund. But during this, of course, the holidays, QSA slowed down for the next couple weeks. So they moved, I'm sure everybody's seen, down to housing. Ed's looking to help out, clean up some of the borrow area back there. So we have some yellow iron on that side. So that's pretty much everything I had outside of the numbers and the spreadsheet that I submitted. So if you guys got any questions, let me know. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
Jerry Helms, Executive Director, Quapaw Facilities Authority.
Good morning, everyone. I have an update on the elder housing sidewalk since I turned my report in. We have completed all the concrete installations for the sidewalk. We have finished up with saw cuts and backfill. Next week, we will be putting down grass seed on all areas that were disturbed by the layout of the sidewalk. And then we will then move to phase 4, which will involve replacement of the heavy gate door on the privacy fence. We will be installing a gate door that will be easier to open and close, which will enable everyone from Elder Housing Complex to have better access to the Robert Whiteburg Complex. And then I'd like to also take this time to give everyone more information what our department actually does. We are staffed with maintenance, mowing, electrical, HVAC, heavy equipment, and utility personnel. We maintain 24 buildings, 222 combined HVAC, commercial cooling, commercial freezing, and mini split units. We also maintain the powwow grounds, mow an additional 200 plus acres weekly, and 8 additional cemeteries during the growing season. Our area includes nation-owned properties in Miami, Pitcher, Quapaw, and all the way to the downstream. Our utility authority maintains and repairs all water issues for our buildings, nation-owned rental properties, the industrial park, and 2 water towers in Pitcher and Cardin. Thank you, and everyone have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Jerry. Steve Stand, Executive Director, Tribal Member Services.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you all just some highlights today and details outside of the report I submitted, or there may be more details from each department. The Higher Education Department is creating a post-secondary schools highlights tab on the website. They hope to have it launched in mid-January. It will be broken down by category, for example, like online colleges, universities, tribal colleges and universities, and then two-year colleges and technical and vocational schools. Each category will list, they will have a monthly listing such as cost breakdowns, locations, scholarships for Native Americans, and links to the school websites, and then they will highlight 2 out of each category each month. The other, Molly in higher education, is also working on an FAQ to go along with the student funding application packet that will also be on the website that will help answer questions that she has been coming through and creating a list that's been having issues through this application process. Family Services has teamed up with the Title VI program and assisting with their bingo and also providing outreach. We have learned that Kristen Keys is a great bingo caller and that Jared Chapp and some of the advocates have really enjoyed helping the elders with their bingo cards. Along with Michelle Shields, the director, even told some jokes there, and they really had a good time. And they've done that and assisted in November and December and want to continue assisting with that and providing outreach. Family Services also has a support group, and the advocates are trying to meet with them monthly and providing art therapy. The advocates are coordinating a meal and candy making and a Christmas movie with the tenants in the tiny homes, and they are currently at full capacity. The housing department currently has a 1-bedroom elder unit ready, and they will be starting that process Monday to get that individual moved in. And they hope to have 2 more completed after the first of the year. OLC held its Christmas program for the kids on December 18th and had 50 families attend. So it was a larger turnout than expected, and they are already planning for next year since they had such a great turnout. Title VI held their Christmas lunch this past Wednesday, and they served 323 people and passed out candy bags and gifts. So they were busy. The enrollment department helped process 1,252 Christmas checks, and the application is now closed. Carrie is still working on updating addresses that they received back from mail outs from Christmas programs, a special GC that they had to send out. So she's continuing trying to, when they come back, try to get correct addresses or update the issues and why they were returned. And just a reminder that when everyone completes the application for the meat distribution, please make sure the address you put on the application, that's what we want everybody to know, is what's in enrollment. Because some have not updated their address once they can fill out the meat distribution application, so it doesn't match. So then there's a denial issue there. So, and it is per household, so you always have to remember some of them have applied and then realized they put down the address that somebody else, they're not the head of household, they had to update their addresses. So that's just kind of to keep the denials decreasing instead of increasing. But if you do have an issue, please call Carrie, and she works with Jean Ann, and they can determine, why it was denied and check their records and then helpfully assist everyone. The fitness center is busy coordinating with several departments, holding events over the Christmas holidays. So they've been busy assisting with that. And they've also helped the family services team with some of their outreach events. Social services wants everyone to know to make sure you put the period in. There's been some issues with them not getting the emails because it's social.services@quapawnation.com, and that has been made sure that it's correct on the website. And please don't email Patty or Rachel either with their work email or their personal email, because if they're gone, then they won't get addressed. So please send everything to social.services@quapawnation.com. And that way they'll be processed in a timely manner. And that's all I have from each one of my departments.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Stepping in for George Valier on behalf of Department of Public Safety is Interim Chief Brad Bernard.
Good morning. I
Morning.
want to start by saying Executive Director Valier apologizes for his absence, and I hope that I can be a sufficient stand-in for him. All across the Department of Public Safety, it was a pretty standard month for us. Quapaw Nation Fire and EMS responded to 240 calls for service. Mobile Integrated Health saw 96 patients, and Emergency Management assisted in 4 incidents. The Marshal Service responded to 613 calls for service. Juvenile Affairs worked 12 additional cases this month, and Probation saw 59 individuals for probation. Indian Child Welfare had 66 cases, and Quapaw Counseling Service saw 224 patients this month. One of the things that I wanted to talk about that's not here in this monthly report is our 13th annual Shop with a Cop event. We wanted to thank Quapaw Casino, Downstream Casino, and Saracen Casino for their generosity. Because of their generosity, we were able to provide Christmas for approximately 75 children this year at a really neat event, and we had a ton of help from the community, tribal members, other law enforcement agencies, and the rest of Quapaw Nation Department of Public Safety assisted with that event earlier this month. We were really, really happy about it. So outside of that, it was a pretty standard month for us. No major incidents to report. We're all kind of polishing up our continuing education, trying to finish out the training year that ends here in December. So thank you.
Thank you. Everett Bandy, Executive Director, Culture.
Good morning.
Morning.
Just this mic went higher. To lean over here. I'm going to give a brief update on the Culture Division for November. I'll be touching on our projects and activities across all of our departments. However, this morning I'm going to take some extra time to discuss the international work in France that I've reported on before, both at the Business Committee meeting, in the Quapaw Post, and our monthly reports. In November, we completed phase 1 of our international collaboration with the Musée de Quai Branly in Paris. This work focused on research into early French collections from North America that date to before the French Revolution. This collection is referred to as the Croyan Collection, which is an acronym that I can't explain to you because the letters are all words in French. But it includes 400 objects, including the Quapaw painted robes. Most of these materials have not been closely studied before, and none of which had been studied with tribal partners before. So this was an important step and an exciting opportunity. One of the major outcomes of our research was the publication of an academic journal called the Uga'xpa. Most of the research papers that our division assisted with are included in that journal, and I was a co-author on several. Some of this research deals directly with Quapaw painted robes and history, including the robes that are well known, such as the Three Villages robe, and the lesser known robe that has the animals in rut that had not been previously published in the scientific record as Quapaw. We were able to get that published in the scientific record as Quapaw with this journal, and so to me that was a particularly important outcome of the event, of the project. We also did quite a bit of research on historic maps that are located in France as well.
that are published in that journal. It is currently available online, however, it is in French. It's possible to auto-translate it, however, the wording does not always come through perfectly clear. A professional English translation is expected to be released in a month or two. Once we receive that, we will print and bound a copy to place it in the Quapaw Library. There is currently a French copy in the Quapaw Library for anyone who wants to look at it, but if you don't speak French, it doesn't make a lot of sense, I'm sure. I can't read it anyway. Alongside of this journal, we held a 2-day research conference in Paris to present these findings. I was floored by the turnout. There were well over 100 researchers in attendance from across Europe, in addition to about 50 tribal representatives who traveled for the event. The discussions were strong, respectful, and productive, and our Quapaw research was very well received. There were several foundations and funders, in addition to the Cabron Lee, who were important in funding these things, including the travel, the research, and the exhibition which took place. This conference also featured a reception where we were able to thank them for their important contributions. The research which we were able to do was also paired with a major museum exhibition that opened at the Palace of Versailles. The exhibit filled 3 rooms and highlights Native nations who were involved in early French diplomacy in the Louisiana portion of New France. Quapaw materials were included prominently, including the 3 Villages robe and the Buffalo Dancer's robe. The private opening event was attended by several hundred people and more than 15 news outlets, primarily French media, as well as the presidents of Cabron Lee and of the Palace and Museum of Versailles. When the museum exhibit opened to the public, thousands attended, and both institutions were extremely pleased with the outcome. The exhibit is being advertised on the Paris Metro, buses, billboards, and radio. Because of the popularity of the Palace of Versailles and their normal visitation, they estimate that at least 2.5 to as much as 5 million people will pass through this exhibit between now and the end of the exhibit in May. Personally, I feel this is a great honor for our Quapaw people to be highlighted in this manner, seen by so many people in such a historic location. With these activities completed, all of the goals for phase 1 of the funding for this project have been met. We are now planning for phase 2, which seeks to highlight this project within the United States. We've already had 1 meeting in that regard. Specific goals are being outlined, but these include seeking funding, presenting about our research at a conference in the United States, and getting the exhibit to travel to Oklahoma. A new article will be submitted to the Quapaw Post detailing this information and providing pictures for our community. Outside of this international project, November was active across our different departments. Our museum visitation was modest during the month of November, and our gift shop sales totaled just over $1,600. Nevertheless, the museum held its annual Veterans Day program on November 6th, with more than 40 community members attending the event. The program featured the World War II quilt, which is in our collection, along with photographs and objects and artifacts connected to Quapaw veterans. Preparations continued for the museum open house, which has since taken place on December 14th. The language department held in-person classes in November. The department continues to rotate class offerings throughout the year by having classes on weekdays, evenings, in-person, and remote, and we aim to offer them on a variety of days. We always have good sign-up numbers. However, we have been very surprised to see that our attendance trends continue to show that lunchtime in-person weekday classes are far and above the most attended and effective classes for engaging our community by a very large margin of at least 10 to 1. Based on that information, we are going to ensure that Lunch and Learns continue to be included in our rotation throughout the year. In addition to holding in-person evening classes last month, the department developed new curriculum and is preparing materials for an upcoming online, aka remote class. We are currently planning that class to take place in February. Staff continued updates to quapawlanguage.org and worked on an internship description for high school and or college students, and maintained weekly language instruction at the O-Guah-Pah Learning Center. Our library recorded 68 in-person visitors in November. Story time was held 3 times at the O-Guah-Pah Learning Center with related craft activities. Our staff at the library and the TIPO office are jointly reviewing historic documents and photographs at the Dobson Museum as well. 2 grants were submitted by the library last month, including a little free library in the new housing area, which was approved. Use of electronic resources increased, especially our news bank database. Planning also continued for upcoming community events. The Quapaw Historic Preservation Program completed 111 project reviews. Our review numbers for last month were lower than usual due to the federal shutdown that lasted through mid-month. Staff used the extra time for training and community outreach. Activities included participating in a youth stomp dance class that was organized by the Miami Nation, but included multiple tribes in the area. A finger weaving class, which the Historic Preservation Program put on for University of Arkansas students and a history presentation in conjunction with Shiloh Museum's Native American Days program. This program takes place annually and allows Arkansas students to remotely discuss Quapaw history with our staff, and this year it reached more than 900 students in the state of Arkansas. Preparations also continued for an upcoming Civil War class that will take place in late winter or spring, and the Remembrance Walk, which will begin on January 10th, honoring those who endured the 1826 removal. Looking ahead, our department had the museum open house, which has since taken place since the writing of this report, and the Remembrance Walk. This will conclude my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Stepping in for Barry Lindiff on behalf of Quapaw Communications and Events is Austin Headley.
Good morning, everyone. Over the past 35 days, O-Guah-Pah Communications has completed over 200 tasks across multiple different mediums, whether that be social media, web, event coordinating, design, production, etc. We remain committed to serving as the Quapaw Nation's backbone for communications through consistent media coverage, through youth phasing, content creation, which would be the coloring book that was at the children's Christmas party, cross-department collaboration, and publication and production. Also, just want to give you all a reminder to sign up through our SMS notification system and emails. That way you can stay up to date on all the events surrounding the Quapaw Nation. And we would love to highlight some success stories across the Quapaw Nation. So feel free to email us at communications@ogahpahcommunications.com. And also just let us know how we can improve. We'd love to hear your feedback. Thank you.
Thank you, Austin. Appreciate that. Let's go on to reading, correction, and approval of the electronic polls. Member Gibbswater, would you please take the first one?
Yes, ma'am. Poll number 48338. Submission of the Ignite grant application. This poll is for approving the submission of the Robert Wood Johnson Ignite grant application. It was sent to a poll to meet the guidelines for submission process. The approval count is 7 and certified date of 11/25/2025 at 10:28 a.m.
Member Davis, would you please take the next one? Or that's the next two.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Poll number 48365, Downstream Casino Resort Accounts, DCA signatories. This poll is for approving the signatory authority for Downstream Casino Resort. This was sent to a poll to expedite the authority in order to facilitate processes and projects. The approval count was 7. It was certified on 12/1/2025, 7:23 a.m. Moving to poll number 48366, Quapaw Casino Accounts, QCA signatories. This poll is for approving the signatory authority for Quapaw Casino. This was sent to a poll to expedite the authority in order to facilitate processes and projects. An approval count of 7, certified date of 12/1/2025, 7:27 a.m.
Thank you. Secretary Treasurer Valier, would you please take the next one?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Poll number 48387, authorizing litigation against the Oklahoma Tax Commission. This poll is to approve a resolution to authorize the filing of litigation against the Oklahoma Tax Commission in a court of competent jurisdiction to take actions necessary or advisable to protect the agency's or the authority's legal interests. This was sent to a poll because of an administrative hearing being held the second week of December. Approval count of 7. Certified date is December 1st, 2025.
Thank you. Member Buffalo, would you please take the next one?
Yes. Poll number 48712, approving QSA trading in dump trucks. Request by Wayne Supanoff. This poll is for authorizing the trade terms and the buyer's order for Quapaw Service Authority trade in dump trucks. Sent to a poll because of the time needed to get the trucks on hand. It was approved 7-0, certified 12/11/2025 at 4:24, excuse me.
Member Mercer, would you take the next one?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This poll is number 48789. The name of the poll is Intertribal Buffalo Council Grant Agreement. This poll is to prove the execution of the grant agreement with Intertribal Buffalo Council for fiscal year 2025 for the Advancing Markets for Producers Grant. This was sent to a poll because the deadline is the 19th of, or was the 19th of December. It was approved 7-0. The approval date and certification is 12/16/2025 at 1:23 p.m.
Vice Chair McKibben, would you take the last two?
Yes, ma'am. Poll number 48790 is Quapaw Nation Ethics Legal Engagement. This poll is for approving the limited engagement between Homer Law Firm and the Quapaw Nation Business Committee to perform the duties of independent legal counsel as provided for in the Quapaw Nation Code of Ethics. The firm will be engaged to serve as independent legal counsel to the Quapaw Nation Ethics Commission. This was sent to a poll to expedite the process to meet the Ethics Commission projects. This was approved 7-0 and certified on 12/16/25 at 1:27 p.m. Poll number 48796 is also an Ethics Commission Legal Retainer Agreement. This is to approve a legal retainer agreement between the Quapaw Nation Ethics Commission and Michael J. Hunter of Oklahoma City. This attorney will perform the duties of independent legal counsel to the Quapaw Nation Ethics Commission. The attorney agrees to provide legal services to the Quapaw Nation Ethics Commission in matters involving ethics violations as directed. This was sent to a poll to expedite this process to meet the Ethics Commission projects. This was also approved 7-0 and certified on 12/17/25 at 11:34 a.m.
Is there a motion to approve the electronic polls?
Second.
We have a motion to approve the electronic polls this last month. Business Committee, is there any discussion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to provide a little bit more clarification on the litigation with the approval for the litigation against the Oklahoma Tax Commission. It was discovered some time ago that the Oklahoma Tax Commission was requiring a sales tax on liquor tax, and it had to do more with the liquor that was we had value-added mixed beverages and our brewing. This resolution gives us the authority that if we need to go into that litigation, we can. We have not entered into the litigation yet, but our attorneys are discussing things with their attorneys to get this straightened out. This is an exercise of our treaty rights and strengthening our sovereignty. Oklahoma Tax Commission should not have been requiring for us to impose or collect and remit sales tax on mixed beverages and our brewing, because those are items that value is added to here on the reservation. And in our treaty rights, it's inappropriate for them to levy those taxes on us. So we're in negotiations with Oklahoma Tax Commission now. It is our hope that we don't have to go through this litigation, but this resolution allows us to, if we get to that point that things are not resolved satisfactorily.
Thank you. Any other discussion, Business Committee? All those in favor of approving the electronic polls, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. The electronic polls are approved. We will go on to new business. I'll take the first one. It's resolution number 12/2025-A. Whereas this notice of funding opportunity is intended to help Indian tribes, tribal organizations, or tribal consortia develop a plan to implement a Title IV-E program and submit it to the Children's Bureau for approval. Tribes may use this award for the cost of developing a Title IV-E plan that meets the requirements of Section 471 of the Act. Must use the award to develop your plan for the mandatory Title IV-E foster care and adoption assistance programs. May also use funds to address plan requirements for optional Title IV-E programs such as guardianship assistance, kinship navigator, and prevention programs. Whereas the Quapaw Nation Business Committee wishes to authorize Weena Supernaw, Chair of the Quapaw Nation Business Committee, to sign and execute the application. Therefore, be it resolved, the Quapaw Nation Business Committee authorizes Chair Weena Supernaw to sign and execute the Tribal 4E Planning Development Grant application. I so move to approve Resolution 12-2025-A.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor to approve Resolution 12-2025-A. Business Committee, is there any additional discussion? All those in favor of approving Resolution 12-2025-A, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no, and we've got one abstention. The motion carries. Resolution number 12-2025-A is approved. Member Gibbs Water, would you please take 12-2025-B?
Ma'am, resolution number 122025-B, a resolution approving the 2026 Social Services Guidelines for Quapaw Nation Social Services Department. Whereas the current Social Services Department program guidelines for the Quapaw Nation required revisions for organizational procedures and structure. Therefore, be it resolved that the attached 2026 Social Services Department program guidelines for the Quapaw Nation Social Services Department have been updated and hereby amended for the operation of the Social Services Department program and shall constitute policy until such time the Quapaw Nation Business Committee deems it necessary and prudent to modify or change these guidelines. Business Committee also move to approve resolution number 122025-B.
We've got a motion on the floor to approve Resolution 12-2025-B. Business Committee, is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving 12-2025-B, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. The motion carries. Resolution 12-2025-B is approved. Member Davis, would you please take C?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Resolution number 122025-C, a resolution approving fiscal year 2026 higher education guidelines for Quapaw Nation's Higher Education Department. Whereas the Quapaw Nation Higher Education Department's program guidelines for the Quapaw Nation require revisions and approval for organizational procedures and structure. Therefore, be it resolved that the attached 2026 Department Program Guidelines for the Quapaw Nation Higher Education Department supersedes Resolution 031525-F and are hereby ready for the operation of the Quapaw Nation Higher Education Department program and shall constitute policy until such time the Quapaw Nation Business Committee deems it necessary and prudent to modify or change these guidelines. Madam Chair, I would so move to adopt resolution number 122025-C.
Got a motion to approve Resolution 12-2025-C. Business Committee, is there any discussion on this one? All those in favor of approving Resolution 12-2025-C, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. The motion carries. Resolution 12-2025-C is approved. Secretary Treasurer Value, would you please take D?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Resolution number 122025-D, a resolution to authorize a gas service line agreement, SLA, request from Oklahoma Natural Gas, ONG, and to authorize the execution of the SLA on behalf of the Quapaw Nation. Whereas the Quapaw Nation Business Committee supports and requests the SLA with Oklahoma Natural Gas located within the attached property description in Exhibit A, the nation further agrees that the SLA term is perpetual, providing the SLA or another appropriate document acknowledges that ONG does not have the authority to grant easements within the service line area without the approval of the nation. Therefore, be it resolved by the Quapaw Nation Business Committee that the tribal chairperson or secretary treasurer or an authorized representative of the Quapaw Nation is hereby authorized to execute said service line agreement and to promote tribal self-determination and such other uses as may be determined, including commercial operations acceptable to the grantee. Therefore, be it further resolved, by means stated above, the Quapaw Nation agrees with the proposed SLA with Oklahoma Natural Gas on the property described. And I want to kind of give a little bit more of Okay. Madam Chair, I move that we adopt resolution number 122025-D.
Second.
We've got a motion to adopt Resolution 122025-D. Business Committee, we're now in discussion.
Just for clarification, this agreement allows ONG to run a new gas line from the current gas line that runs east and west along East 66 Road, north to the west of the Cahota building and across to the new Quapaw Casino building. This will provide the appropriate gas utility to the new facility.
Business Committee, any additional discussion? All those in favor of approving 122025-D, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The motion carries. Resolution 122025-D is approved. I'll go ahead and take the next one. This is resolution number 122025-E. It's a resolution authorizing the execution of the construction agreement between the Quapaw Nation and Verified Solar LLC. Whereas the Quapaw Nation was awarded a grant from Tribal Energy Alternatives to install photovoltaic panels on the O-Guah-Pah Learning Center, and whereas the Quapaw Nation Business Committee wishes to authorize Weena Supernaw, Chair of the Quapaw Nation Business Committee, to sign and execute the agreement between the Quapaw Nation and Verified Solar LLC. Therefore, be it resolved, the Quapaw Nation Business Committee authorizes Chair Weena Supernaw to sign and execute the agreement between the Quapaw Nation and Verified Solar LLC. I move to approve Resolution 122025-E.
Second.
We've got a motion to approve Resolution number 122025-E. Business Committee, is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving Resolution 122025-E, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The motion carries. Resolution 122025-E is approved. Vice Chair McKibben, would you please take F?
Yes, ma'am. Resolution number 122025F, a resolution to establish Connie Ventures Holding Company. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Business Committee hereby authorizes all necessary actions to obtain, maintain, or amend a federal corporate charter from the Secretary of Interior, including the execution of any required petitions, applications, or supporting documents, and further resolved, Chair Supernaw and any other member of the Business Committee, the authorized persons, be, and each acting singly hereby, is authorized to execute all documents, pleadings, and agreements necessary to effectuate this resolution. Further resolved, that this resolution may be signed in one or more counterparts, each of which shall be deemed an original, and all of which shall constitute one instrument, and a facsimile signature or electronically scanned copy of a signature shall constitute and shall be deemed to be sufficient evidence of a party's execution of this consent without necessity of proof. Finally resolved, that this resolution shall take effect immediately upon passage by the Business Committee and shall remain in effect unless amended or repealed by subsequent resolution.
Is there a motion to approve 122025-F?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve resolution number 122025-F.
We've got a motion to approve 12/20/25-F. BC, is there any discussion?
Yes. I don't like this resolution because it gives the ability to act singly. Hereby is authorized to execute all documents. One person may act unilaterally to sign off on some of these things, to execute these documents, pleadings, and agreements. And I don't think that's healthy for one person to be able to act unilaterally to be able to sign off on these. I think this should be tabled and reworded to say after a majority of the business committee votes, and then it gives the person, whoever's going to sign and execute, that way it gives business committee consensus prior to signing any documents. I would either like to move to table this until next month and have that reworded, or just my discussion. Sign off on something.
Lloyd, since we're
Perceived replay of the past.
in the discussion phase of the motion to approve, Mance has made a motion to table. That requires a second, correct? And it's okay. Okay. So now we're going to vote. Business committee, is there any further discussion? So now we're going to vote on tabling resolution 12/20/25-F. All those in favor of tabling 12/20/25-F, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. The motion carries and the resolution is tabled until next month. Member Buffalo, would you please take 12/20/25-G?
Yes, ma'am. A resolution authorizing the appointment of Quapaw Nation Gaming Commissioner. Whereas the Business Committee has requested and the Quapaw Nation Marshal Service has performed a criminal history check for Jackie Dixon as part of the appointment process. And whereas the Business Committee has reviewed the results of the criminal history check for Jackie Dixon, whereas the Business Committee has determined that Jackie Dixon is eligible to serve as Vice Chair of the Quapaw Nation Gaming Commission. Therefore, be it resolved, the Business Committee hereby appoints Jackie Dixon as the Vice Chairman of the Quapaw Nation Gaming Commission, subject to Jackie Dixon successfully completing the licensing process for primary management officials and key employees, which include a criminal background investigation formed by the Quapaw Nation Gaming Agency at the discretion of the Quapaw Nation Marshal Service as required pursuant to Section 9H and 21 of the ordinance. Finally, resolved that the resolution should take effect immediately upon passage by the Business Committee and should remain effective unless amended or repealed by subsequent resolution. Madam Chair, I move to adopt Resolution 12/2025-G.
We've got a motion to approve Resolution 12/20/25-G. Business Committee, is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving Resolution 12/20/25-G, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. The motion carries. Resolution 12/20/25-G is approved. Member Buffalo, would you take the next one?
Madam. Whereas the Business Committee has requested and the Quapaw Nation Marshal Service has performed a criminal history check for Gina and Blaylock as part of the appointment process. Whereas the Business Committee has reviewed the results of the criminal history check for Gina and Blaylock, and whereas the Quapaw Business Committee has determined that Jean Ann Blaylock is eligible to serve as a Commissioner at Large of the Quapaw Nation Gaming Commission. Now, therefore, be resolved, the Business Committee hereby appoints Jean Ann Blaylock as a Commissioner at Large of the Quapaw Nation Gaming Commission, subject to Jean Ann Blaylock successfully completing the license process for primary management officials, key employees, which includes the criminal background check, investigations performed by the Quapaw Nation Gaming Agency, discretion of the Quapaw Nation Marshal Service, at the direction of the Quapaw Nation Marshal Service, as required pursuant to Section 9H and 3021 of the ordinance. Now, therefore be resolved that upon this position, they are hereby commissioned and empowered on the duties and the conduct business pertaining to the Quapaw Nation Gaming Commission. Madam Chair, I move to adopt resolution 122025-H.
We've got a motion to approve resolution 122025-H. Business Committee, is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving resolution 122025-H, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no.
No.
No. Let's go to the voice vote. Member Mercer?
Yes.
Member Buffalo?
Yes.
Vice Chair McKibben?
Yes.
Chair Supernaw? No. Secretary Treasurer Valier?
No.
Member Davis?
Yes.
Member Gibbswater?
Yes.
The motion carries. Resolution 122025-H is approved. Member Mercer, would you take the last one?
This is resolution number 122025I. It is a approval of authority for Saracen Development, LLC, to utilize the revolving line of credit for construction purposes for amounts from the revolver during the fiscal quarter ending March 31, 2026. Whereas Saracen requests authority and approval to utilize proceeds from the revolving line of credit for construction purposes from the revolver during fiscal quarter ending March 31, 2026, as requested by the attached correspondence dated 9/2025 from Saracen and the Quapaw Nation Business Committee and the authority. And whereas the Business Committee, in its capacity as governing body of the sole owner of the authority of the sole member of Saracen, has determined that authorizing and approval such draws from the revolving line of credit is in the best interest of the nation and the authority, and therefore of Saracen. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Saracen is authorized to utilize proceeds from the revolving line of credit for construction purposes from the revolver. Further resolved that all other actions and performances by Saracen for draws on the revolving line of credit above and up to the amounts provided herein be, and each hereby is, approved and authorized and confirmed. Further resolved that Matt Harkness, General Manager, or Jim Burns, Chief Financial Officer, is authorized and approved to execute draws as approved in this resolution. Furthermore, that any authorized person may certify to each financial institution for the revolving line of credit a copy of this resolution and the specimen signature of each authorized person, and that the financial institution of the revolving line of credit may consider the authorized person to continue in office and this resolution to remain in full force and effect until written notice of the contrary is received by the financial institution for the revolving line of credit from the Business Committee, and further resolved that the Business Committee and authority hereby approve and ratify any and all actions taken or accomplished prior to the date this resolution was adopted that would have been authorized by this resolution, but for the fact and that they occurred prior to the date hereof, and further resolved, this resolution shall become effective as of the date and time of its passage and approval by the Business Committee. Madam Chair, I so move adoption.
Second.
Got a motion to approve resolution 122025-I. Business Committee, is there any discussion?
Other than I would just like to comment, up until this time, we have paid for everything
Member Mercer, could you please speak into the microphone?
I'm sorry. Forgot I'd pushed it away. I just wanted to comment that up until now, the casino has paid for the construction out of proceeds from the casino itself. And now we're just going to have to finish up with a line of credit.
Any other discussion? Okay. All those in favor of approving Resolution 122025-I, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. The motion carries. Resolution 122025-I is approved. That concludes new business, and we'll go on to donations. Ramos Championship Martial Arts, Jennifer Smith and Olivia. Are they present?
Okay.
Online.
We can hear you. We could hear, but now we can't.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm Jennifer Smith. I'm with Ramos Championship Martial Arts, and this is Olivia Tucker. So I'm the manager of the business here. We see a lot of Native students. Now, as far as I know, Olivia is my only Quapaw tribal member. Last year, we did come and talk to you guys about this time. She had suffered some loss, and we were trying to find something that would help her navigate that and be a good resource for her without having to do like counseling and go further into that. So she's done a great job. Show them your new belt, Olivia. So she has earned her green stripe. She's completed an entire year now, a little over a year actually, and she's I'd say about a third of the way through to her black belt and doing a great job. We appreciated you guys' donation on her behalf through us, and we are just requesting for her to be able to continue, and so we're requesting whatever you guys can help us with again.
Well, congratulations, Olivia, on your green belt. We're proud of you. And thank you for being with us this morning.
Welcome.
Madam Chair, I move that we donate $500 to Ramos Championship Martial Arts in for Olivia Tucker.
We've got a motion to approve a donation to Ramos Martial Arts on behalf of Olivia. Business Committee, is there any further discussion or questions? Let's move to the vote. All those who are in favor of approving the $500 donation, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. The motion carries, and the $500 donation is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
All right, those are all the donation requests we had for today. We'll go on to open forum. There is a 5-minute time limit. In the event a topic requires more than 5 minutes, we will absolutely make an offer of a closed session. One trip to the podium. Please be respectful. Please use a microphone so folks can hear. No one submitted an open forum request this month. Is there anyone who wishes to speak? Virginia Mouse. Thank you.
I don't know if it's going to slide down or not. Is it on? I don't normally have that problem. Right there. So the resolutions for the commissioners, I just want to point out that according to the letter that was sent in January of 24 by Drummond and Woodson, it says that the commissioners, and it's already been done for Jackie, so it's kind of a moot point, but this resolution is still wrong. The letter that was sent in January 24 to NIGC in regards to commissioner's license puts it back on the agency, and so does the compact, puts the investigation into the agency's hand. In section 19 of the ordinance, if I can get I can't really read my phone that well, sorry.
background investigations. This is section 18B. Background investigations conducted by the agency shall include the criminal history check maintained by the Federal Bureau of Investigations and shall otherwise comply with background investigation requirements under the compact. So that, with that letter in January 24 from Drummond and Woodson, that puts the investigation under the agency as far as the licensing. The criminal background is, the original is under the marshals, but the second one for the licensing is under the agency. And that's all I have
We
to
agree.
say. That's not what this says, or the resolution says. It's under the direction of the marshals, and that's not, with the changes of the letters that were sent to NIGC, that's not accurate. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Who's next? Good morning, Betty.
Good morning. Does that work? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I want to start by thanking the business committee for approving our attorneys. Thank you all for that. I appreciate it. I just made some notes off everybody, what they had to say. I really loved what you had to say, Everett. And I really wanted to just add to that for just a second. They talked about working with the Shiloh Museum. And I just wanted to say that I've been working with the Shiloh Museum for, I think, 7 years now. And what I do is probably a 45-minute video on some stage of working in clay. And I was so excited to hear that we had over 900 kids that tuned in, which just blows me away because every year it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So I'm really just excited to be part of all that. And it all came about, during COVID, and it was a way for the kids to still learn through video. And it's just a great way to reach so many kids. So I'm really excited, and I was happy to hear what you had to say about it. Also, I work with the Mona Museum, which is the Museum of Native American History. And they have been a really good friend to me for a lot of years. And so through them, they're constantly giving my name out to different schools and museums for, well, it's always related to pottery. And so I was invited to come to a school in Bentonville, Arkansas, and talk to some second graders, which I was so excited to give them one of our new coloring books. And you won't believe the excitement of these kids. They were thrilled to get these coloring books. So there were 16 kids. And I decided, since I'm old, to invite Crystal Glass because she's young and smart and beautiful. And I thought it would be a good combination to approach these kids about the Quapaw Indians from an old point of view and from a young point of view. She was fabulous, by the way. And, oh, good, here she comes. And so after we did our little demonstration at the Mona Museum, and of course it was in front of all that fabulous pottery, we were invited to go to the Thaden School and have lunch. Originally, they wanted us to come to the school, and they really wanted to show off their facility, and it was amazing. And of course, that kick-started something in Crystal, which I'm pretty sure you're going to hear about. But what they do, their school was so unconventional, yet it was very conventional. It depends on what side you're looking, in from. But everything was centered around their food source, their lunches. And so when we drove up, they had a greenhouse. Now, I thought we were going to a grade school, and it turns out it is a private school. It was funded mostly by the Waltons, so they have a lot of really good resources. But they hired a chef, And the chef comes in every day and he fixes school breakfast for everybody. And we have an invitation standing. Anytime we show up at 8 o'clock, they'll feed us, they said. And then they have this chef that they come in and they do a fabulous lunch with no preservatives. You know, they keep the sugar intake down because they've figured out that these kids learn better. You know, their brains function much better without all these chemicals and sugar, and the whole setup was amazing. And of course, you know, on the way back to the museum, dropping Crystal off, she had 100 ideas on how we could incorporate this into the Quapaw school. And so I just wanted to give them a plug because it was such a great day. And the whole thing, I don't know who learned more, whether they learned about us or whether we learned more about them, I don't know, but it was just a fabulous experience. So I'll move on from that. I have a note here. What land was sold? I think it was sold last month over by the downstream. Actually, I think it was land. My son used to live over there. And I was just wondering why we sold land instead of purchasing. I thought it was a one-way deal, basically. Why would we sell, if you don't mind?
It's, if I recall correctly, it's 9 acres. It's in the state of Missouri, so it is not within our reservation boundaries. We didn't even know we owned it until about 18 months prior to that. The land was not used. You know, all we were doing were paying the property taxes on it. Does anybody
So are you
recall anything
talking
else?
about the land from behind that house to the highway? Did it go south? Because there was like 18 acres behind that house, but I thought it went with that little blue house. I think it's a different color now. I don't even remember the address. But
Yeah, it's right on Greenwood.
yes, yes.
There was only 9 acres there.
I'm just curious why we sold that. I mean, that looks like valuable land to me.
Has no intended use.
You could have sold it to me. Okay.
Didn't know you were interested.
Yes. By the way, I am interested in buying some land around here. If anybody, not hollow, please. So.
In Oklahoma or Missouri?
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Wasn't on the highway, it was pushed up a little further back.
Mhm.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's back behind the Q store. There was a, that's right, there was a mobile home that was on that property that unfortunately it was in such disarray it had to be removed by facilities.
Okay. And also, I have a question on how many committees can a tribal member be on at one time? 2? 2? Okay. Thank you for the privacy fence for the elders. I think that's it, other than, you know, I saved the most petty thing for last. There was no creamer today. I can't drink coffee without regular creamer. Powder doesn't work for me, so I'm going to.
Some in January.
Okay, thank you. So I'll end on that petty note. Have a good day and Merry
Thank you, Betty.
Christmas.
Good morning, Crystal.
Good morning, Business Committee, Quapaw tribal members here in attendance, as well as those that are joining us on Zoom. I wanted to pick it back off of what Betty had mentioned and share my notes and offer my own reflection and the experience that I had attending the Mona Museum and visiting with the students from Dayton School. It was meaningful to share our heritage, who we are as a Quapaw people, and what we are known for, especially for our pottery, and to hear how our Quapaw history is being incorporated in their curriculum. Beyond that, I was thoroughly impressed with Dayton School overall. The school is innovated, not only in fostering well-balanced meals with no preservatives, like Betty mentioned, but they use vegetables from their gardens and greenhouses. So we had salad in their salad bar. They had lettuce and carrots, and they had signs that say that it came from their greenhouses that the kids go and tender to. Let's see. Not only that, but also in their overall approach to education. What stood out most is how they allowed children to be children, while naturally building skills and ways of thinking for the future. They encourage an entrepreneurial mindset, showing students that it's okay to fail and start over, and emphasize inclusivity, welcoming students from different family backgrounds. The school has no religious affiliation, so that allows students to experience a variety of cultural cuisines. For example, the lunch that Betty and I had, we had the chance to try a Jewish meal in celebration of the upcoming holiday, Hanukkah. Through my time observing during the tour, I couldn't help but connect it to what I've learned in college. I read a book called The Neurodiversity Edge, which focuses on embracing neurological differences in organizations and how it could be applied in different settings. For example, they don't use fluorescent lighting. Instead, the spaces have warm, natural lighting that's easier on the eyes and aesthetically pleasing, supporting students with sensory sensitivities. Thank you for allowing me the time to share my perspective. I also want to thank O-Guah-Pah Communications for allowing us to hand out coloring books to the children. They really appreciate it. That is all I have to report. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Crystal. Sounds like it was a great experience.
If it's over 40 degrees outside, these kids spend 2 to 3 hours outside every day. They don't want them inside. They want them outside with the fresh air, the natural light. It's amazing.
Also, they have classes not only indoors, but they have classes outside so they can be able to have their imagination, their creativity, being able to tell the teachers, this is what they learned, this is what they thought, so the teachers understand how they are able, how it's being, connected to the children and showcasing a positive reinforcement for them.
Thank you. Good morning, Brenda.
Good morning. I just have a question on, do a recap on the construction of the Saracen Hotel and Pavilion and when the grand opening is.
Do we know the date? No. We do not know the date.
It was, should. But the supply chain issues have kind of put a kink in some of their being able to proceed in some areas. So
Well, the last update we had was January.
And then what happened was that it would be a soft opening in January with, like Man said, a few rooms or a few floors of rooms. And then when they evaluated the availability of those rooms with active construction going on other floors, it was basically came down to safety for not only the patrons but also the construction workers and the employees. So then that's when everything's like, no, we're going to wait. We're going to wait. So and that was a decision that
Are
was
they
made by
working-
DDA.
Is the construction completed, or are they're working on the interior finishings, or?
I think they are indeed working on the interior finishings. There may be a few windows on that one side still left to be installed.
Okay, can you give us an update on the Quapaw construction, Quapaw Casino? I've heard there was a hiccup with the location of the counting room and that kind of that part.
I don't know if you guys are. I'm not aware of anything of that
construction
nature.
updates would probably be better provided by the DDA. The DDA is having a meeting at 1:30 today, and I think they'll be happy to address construction questions at the DDA meeting at 1:30.
Are they in the downstream today?
Calumet.
Calumet. Mhm.
Okay,
Yes,
I've got to
ma'am.
be over there for the pavilion for a delivery, so I'll be there. Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda. You've been patiently waiting. Oh, we've got one in the back. Is that Bonnie?
It's just me.
Okay,
I
thank you.
spoke with Jerry. I just spoke with Jerry, and she advised me to talk with Steva. The new triplexes on the elder property, on the new triplexes. We don't have sidewalks in our front area. And so if we want to walk to a neighbor or walk down the street, we have to go out to the street and walk down the street. I appreciate putting in the new things across the street where they can just come down the sidewalk and turn and go down to Title VI without having to get out onto the street. But still yet, on our side, we have no sidewalks at all. None.
Because to get to your next door neighbor, you have to walk down the driveway and then walk through the street and then walk up their driveway. Is that correct, Bonnie?
Yes, ma'am.
Have
Yes,
I got
ma'am.
it?
Or
Okay.
we have to struggle through going through the potholes in the yard and taking the chance of falling.
Right, right. So the request is for the newer triplexes to get sidewalks.
Yes.
I think that's correct. Can we get a microphone to Jerry?
Whenever Bonnie came up and asked me a while ago, I advised her to get with Steva and Misty and schedule a meeting. And I told her that we would come over and assess that and put in another sidewalk for that side also. Okay.
Thank you, Jerry. It's
You're
a good
welcome.
good plan. Good plan.
I got Barbara who would like to speak, if that's okay.
Barbara?
I have two questions. One, Lloyd, what did you actually say about the bear case?
That it's moving slowly in the House and the Senate, and some of the congressmen are getting frustrated with it, and they want to move forward.
Congress wants it to move forward.
Yes.
Well, then they're the ones that have to do it.
Right.
We'd like them to move forward too.
We have no control over Congress.
Well, no, that's very true. Just what you said didn't register. It didn't say anything to me.
Well, I indicated that congressmen were, well, I use the word frustrated this time, with the slow pace that it's moving. That's a summation of what I said.
Yeah. So there's no time frame, anything like that. When are they even
Our
in session?
lobbyist says he hopes that it's by the end of this next year.
By December 2026. Well, that I always said that it probably won't be in my lifetime, so maybe I'll live that long. Okay, and my next question is, what is the reasoning for the Kani Holding Ventures Holding Corp? What was the purpose of that?
If you would, I know we've got a 5-minute rule, but I actually have some good information on that to give you background and structure and things of that nature, if y'all would allow that. All right. So everything that I'm about to describe has already been reviewed by the entire business committee as well as the downstream development authority, so it's not new news to them. So what happened was, and you guys may be aware of this, the Saracen executives caused to have created basically a comprehensive digital technology stack. It's commonly referred to as a vertical to support online sports betting. Okay, that was a few years ago. It's good technology. It's worked quite well. It's, given us a competitive, really a competitive advantage in that market. In addition, they also had a technology stack built for electronic gaming. Electronic gaming at the current time is not legal in the state of Arkansas. They are actively working toward getting the regulatory change made in order to introduce that. So what happened was there was some contact by a third party that said, you know what, you guys have developed all of this stuff. you may have the ability, regardless of what happens in the state of Arkansas, you may have the ability to work with other tribes as well as commercial gaming facilities and offer this technology as a vendor, so that it could be done in a variety of ways. So really the goal here is to market those capabilities to other tribal nations or other entities or who desire entering into the electronic gaming business in jurisdictions where it's legally permitted. That's the overall goal of the whole thing. And when this potential opportunity came up, it became clear pretty quickly that we weren't quite ready, that we needed to analyze the legal entity structures, what form of legal entity should it take, and what kind of executive leadership and operations might it require to keep it going. So what we did was we actually took a look at legal entity structures that did the following things, and this is very important. Maximizes tribal sovereignty, maximizes the size and speed of potential dollars to the Quapaw Nation, minimizes the potential liability and risk to Saracen as well as downstream, minimize taxes, minimize drag to the debt covenants that we must remain in compliance with, and minimize the regulatory risk and complexity. So that was the criteria we used to analyze what the legal entity structure really should be. And we looked at 5 different options, 1, 2, 3. We looked at 5 different options, like all the way from running it as a department at Saracen or downstream to, establishing a new limited liability corporation similar to O-gah-pah Communications. And ultimately, the best option was that this new entity rolled directly up to the Quapaw Nation. Then what we did was we took a look at forms of legal entities, because there are a whole bunch of them, and that is, a tribal LLC, just like O-gah-pah Communications, a Section 17 corporation, which we are allowed to do, a tribally chartered corporation, or a state chartered corporation. And we evaluated those options against that same criteria I reviewed previously. And ultimately, the best option was, from minimizing taxes, minimize regulatory risk, minimize the risk to the existing facilities, was to establish a Section 17 corporation. So that's where we landed. Regarding the executive leadership and distributions, it'll be a 7-person board with staggered 5-year terms, comprised of at least 4 tribal members and no more than 3 non-tribal members. The reason we've got to have some non-tribal members in there is that we don't necessarily have that many tribal members that have an innate and a detailed understanding of these technology stacks as well as the vendors. So the business committee will select the board of directors. We have not done so yet because the entity doesn't exist. We can't. It's actually structured so that, quick decision-making and flexibility. They are required to submit annual budgets to the business committee. They're subject to an annual audit. And as far as the net income distributions, nobody gets any pay until it makes money in excess of the expenses. So the way the allocation is going to work is 40% gets reinvested into the company. That is a very common benchmark in the software technology industry. You've got to reinvest in your capabilities. If anybody's monitoring what's going on out there, it's kind of like whack-a-mole at this point. Prediction markets are exploding. Other things are happening when it comes to offshore, illegal offshore gambling here in the U.S. We've got to stay ahead of this. So 40% gets reinvested in the capabilities. 20%, we've got to repay Saracen for the intellectual property, those assets that they've established. And so we're basically going to do an asset transfer of that intellectual property and repay Saracen for what they've invested on. Once that's repaid, that component goes to the Quapaw Nation as well. When they make money, 20% will go to the board of directors, and there's also a not to exceed amount provision. I don't remember if it's actually in the charter or not, but it will not be, extravagant and excessive. And 20% of the net income comes directly to the tribe. When we pay off the asset, the other 20% comes in, and any excess that can't go to the board of directors also comes to the tribe, because this was all done to maximize the speed and the volume of monies coming into the tribe. There will be 3 board of director members that'll oversee operations, and they may have a need to hire additional employees and vendors as needed, and potentially utilize some internal talent we already have, as long as they get permission from both the DDA as well as the general manager, the casino talent that they may need to draw from. So in conclusion, the new company rolls up to the Quapaw Nation. It's a Section 17 corporation named Connie Ventures Holding Corporation. It's a holding company structure that accommodates additional subsidiaries. And it is very similar to what the Seminole Tribe of Florida has had in place for over 60 years, and they've been very successful with it. We do have to move the intellectual property assets from Saracen Development LLC to Connie Ventures, and that is subject to both DDA as well as the bank group approval. So as far as next steps, once we get the resolution passed, if it passes, that charter has to be submitted to the Bureau of Indian Affairs, where they will conduct a 30-day review and approval process. Once the BIA approves, if they approve, move the intellectual property assets, and we've got to appoint the board of directors. And then we may identify additional business opportunities that could be maybe reorganized into Connie if we think that board of directors has the expertise to be successful. So that's a much lengthier answer than you probably wanted, Barbara, but I sure am appreciative that you did.
I hope that in all of your heads there's red letters saying alert, alert, alert going off. Because, so you're going to go down the charter path?
Section 17,
which
corporation.
Can't be changed. Is that not correct?
It can be changed. It can be amended, but if you want to close it, you got to go to Congress.
And so what if you want to change it and you can't? Then what are you going to do?
No, I'm sorry. Maybe I misunderstood. You asked, can you change or amend it? And the answer to that is yes. We can do that autonomously without BIA and congressional approval.
Okay. So how are you going to compare that with your?
That's right. It's filed.
How is that going to take the place of an ordinance? Your gaming ordinance?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So these capabilities would be offered in other jurisdictions and other markets, Barbara, where we would need to comply with whatever those rules are that in place as a vendor. We would be a vendor.
Okay. Does this have something to do with, I'm not going to mention any names, but the company that you're questioning about currently with this?
Can you elaborate? I'm sorry.
I don't want to use the name of the company. So there's a company now that the DDA is wanting to get approved right away. Does it have anything to do with that?
Not that I'm aware of. We can
aware
ask the DD. Is Billy still here? I thought he swam through earlier. I don't know.
Well, I can find that out later.
I don't know.
I just wondered. Just move with caution. You know, you mentioned illegal gaming. That's worldwide. You know, you have to realize that people that you have that do things electronically may be sitting in their bedroom in their underwear doing it, and they may not be the one that is approved to be on your site. It might be they might have gotten the passcode or the key to the process, and they may be hacking it. In other words, very easy to do that these days. So anything that's electronic, you want to have a lot of safety, I'm sure you're all aware of that because you're not any of you dummies, aware of the security purposes for something that's electronic totally, like this gaming, this kind of gaming. That's been my fear for years. I know it's coming, and it is coming. There's no way you can stop it because it is a moneymaker. Just like this betting and all these sports betting and stuff. It's making hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars. But be sure your security is all in place, please. And if your charter has got to meet the ordinance that you're going to go by, or vice versa, somehow. Right now, that doesn't look very promising, if you know what I mean. So, please be aware.
Thank you, Barbara. Jerry, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
I was just reading the disadvantages of an IRA Section 17. It says it cannot be dissolved or suspended except by an act of Congress. It also cannot be amended without approval from the Secretary of the Interior. Is that true?
The charter.
So why would we want to go with a Section 17 if that's true?
It's still all that same criteria that I described previously. It does have some advantages over even an LLC or other legal entity forms from a taxation standpoint, especially. So, those were things that we looked at really, really carefully. I'll be honest with you, there's no perfect construct where everything is, bold green on our side. It's which is the best option available for us.
Oh, I understand. It's just kind of when you have to have an act of Congress before it can be changed. I agree with Mans. I think you guys need to look more into this than just doing a resolution and going with it.
So we've been running, how long's OSB been live? Now, of course, it's geofenced in the state of Arkansas. And in most cases, I think in all cases, the Supreme Court ruled that the states have the ability to approve or decline online sports betting in their market. And so that's been running since 2021. Does anybody remember? It was before I was on the BC. And, you're right. There are hackers out there. There are individuals that have absolutely no good intentions and they wish to steal and swindle and do inappropriate things. But, after that amount of experience, there has been significant time and investment in securing the platform and protecting it from, especially machine-based hacks that come in many per second. So we do have some experience, in that particular area. But I think we heard you. Go be cautious.
Yeah. Would be more concerned about the financial aspects and the information of millions of people that are your clients, that are your patrons, because all of that's electronic. Even down to, we even have systems where it goes directly to an individual's bank account. And all of that, I don't know how that even through a charter that you could not be held liable for that. Even with the sovereignty. I know we go down the sovereignty avenue, and I agree with that 100%, but that would be very difficult to convince someone that lost millions of dollars, if you know what I mean. So I know it's something that's coming, like I say, and I know it's going to be here no matter if we participate or not, but just be careful.
Thank you, Barbara. Linda?
Hawaii. To the citizens of the Quapaw Nation, I speak before you this day to express myself regarding the petition to recall Chair Catherine Weena Supernaw from office according to 16.2 of the Quapaw Election Ordinance of 2004. This is something that has weighed on my mind and heart heavily for some time and is important to me to have the opportunity to speak not only as an elected official but as a tribal citizen. Upon review of the petition, it states where nominations for the Tribal and Indigenous Council TIAC opened on May 8, 2025. There was ample time to avoid the use of emergency powers. A regularly scheduled business committee meeting took place on May 17, 2025, where the matter could be discussed publicly. I want to inform you I had not heard of the Tribal and Indigenous Council until June 3rd, 2025. On May 30th, 2025, an individual associated with United Indian Nations of Oklahoma sent an email on behalf of a current member that sits on TIAC. In the email, it states, if you or a member of your council, Congress, or business committee is interested, please send your intentions. Both May 30th and June 3rd are post the May 17th business committee meeting. On June 3rd, 2025, the BC received an email from Chair Supernall stating she was interested in pursuing this opportunity with the Tribal and Indigenous Advisory Council. Information was provided directly from the website related to commitment should one be selected for the council. Chair Supernall sought our support as well as provided the date the application period closed, which was June 6, 2025. Further, based upon the support she received from the BC, along with no other interest being conveyed by the business committee, a resolution was carried out via an emergency poll for voting purposes. Because this was a nomination, I supported her interest as well as others responded to the email with support of both the nomination and emergency phone poll. If the nomination was accepted, the matter would be addressed at that time related to commitments of the TIAC as well as the chair's elected term. In addition, I disagree with the petition reflecting Chair Supernall was effectively concealing information from the business committee. Chair Supernall has since received notification from the U.S. Government Accountability Office and shared with the business committee that they were not able to offer her a position on the council at this time. The Government Accountability Office only made 5 offers to delegates from tribal nations during this nomination period. The petition has been circulated for several months. I have confirmed with the Election Committee and Enrollment Committee that the petition in reference that is to be signed by at least 250 registered voters has not been filed to date. I am aware citizens are seeking to withdraw their signature from the petition. I am aware signatures are being sought not on the premises of the petition. I would like to state that there is less than 1 year remaining in Chair Supernall's term. To the sponsor or sponsors of the petition, I am respectfully and kindly asking that you take this into consideration and cease further efforts for signatures along with taking the cost associated with an election into consideration. To give the citizens an idea of the cost of an election, the last annual election cycle was $25,000. I feel continuing to pursue signatures for the petition this close to the end of a term would be unnecessary, and running simultaneous elections creates a hardship for the election committee, increases the margin for error, confusion for citizens, and again, associated additional cost. In closing, thank you for taking this into consideration, and thank you to the citizens for allowing me to speak. Uga'xpa.
Thank you, Linda. Anybody else? Oh, Roman Kahiga, good morning.
Morning, Business Committee. Couple of questions. The previous Constitution Committee went through some strained efforts to ensure that any dealings that required our people to request permission of the Interior or Commissioner was removed from our governing document. And that was all approved in the 2023 vote, all of those removals. And it concerns me that this committee is now entertaining the idea to re-engage that without the consent of the people. So the people overwhelmingly said, hey, we want to remove all of this stuff from our governing resolution. We don't want to ask permission from the Interior or from the federal government for anything that we do. That's the sovereign side, right? So maintaining that sovereignty, I really feel like that's a bad idea to re-engage in something that commits us to, like Lloyd said, an act of Congress, and we can't do anything about it. If Congress is going to do it, those are the words that were just shared with us. This feels like it should be something that General Counsel should have been included on, that General Counsel has the last say, and if we, in the future, after we're all gone, it's going to be up to General Counsel to be petitioning Congress to remove us from something that General Counsel didn't want to be a part of to begin with, or they didn't have a say-so to begin with. The Seminole Nation at least had, and this is a bad comparison, this is not apples to apples. The Seminole Nation is a conglomerate with a well-established infrastructure that can accommodate this type of, and they've had, like you said, 60 years to do this. They are set up well for it. We are not. And they also, their membership also had the opportunity to approve that Section 17 engagement. That's the difference. They're completely supported by the people, and this hasn't been presented to us yet. So I just want to advise, I mean, in my opinion, it's a bad idea to bypass General Counsel for something so, I mean, potentially damning to us. Now, to your point, there are a lot of great reasons why something to this magnitude should go into effect. But the ultimate problem is that it binds my son in the future to this document that he's got to go to Congress and ask their permission. That's not sovereignty. I'm not handing off a sovereign nation to my legacy or your legacy. And I would strongly consider everybody to consider that as we're approaching that's what General Counsel's going to be required to do eventually, if we exit it, or if we want to revoke or suspend it. I think those were the terms. The second thing that I have is regarding, again, the Constitution Committee. I'm curious the Business Committee's interpretation of where the Constitution Committee exists today. This business committee went through great efforts to research and apply Robert's Rules of Order to disband the previous Constitution Committee under the direction, quote, the direction that General Counsel provided to the committee. To this current committee, General Counsel provided the direction to be the point of contact for the MOU, period. There's no other direction that General Counsel gave to this committee. And the previous interpretation that this business committee gave to us really halts. So, I mean, like the previous interpretation either has to apply again, that there's nothing left for the Constitution Committee to do because the directive has been met, or, which makes more sense, the previous interpretation was inaccurate and incomplete. And I hope that the business committee, I would encourage this entire business committee to reevaluate that and see where we are. Are we adhering to what your initial interpretation was, which means the Constitution Committee is no more because we've met the requirement that General Counsel asked, or was your previous interpretation slightly off? And that's being generous. So I just encourage you to consider that. I'll send you an email later to kind of support, some of the language that you shared with us in whole. But that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Roman. Mr. Bandy.
Good morning once again. I had a question and a statement. One was I just wanted to seek some clarification on poll number 48387, authorizing litigation against the Oklahoma Tax Commission. I was curious, are we joining a joint action or what that was? I just wanted to ask the Business Committee for the opportunity to explain a little more.
No, this solely has to do with our operations and our operations at downstream, and how Oklahoma Tax Commission has been requiring for us to collect and remit liquor tax that was inappropriate for us to do, where several other tribes are not doing that, and they're not requiring it of other tribes within the state of Oklahoma, but they're requiring it of us. And because of the type of tax that it is, and that there's value added in it, it's inappropriate according to our treaty rights as well as our sovereignty. And that's what it is. We're trying to get that to stop.
Thank you for clarification. I was just curious. We didn't get the chance to discuss that, and I was just wondering what that was about. And then I also just wanted to make a little... Hence the action, then. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you for taking the time to explain that. And then I also just wanted to mention something. This is maybe random, and maybe I'm too much of a history nerd, but we had some tribal members speaking today about reaching out to students in Arkansas. And I just wanted to say something to the general public. Sometimes as Quapaw tribal members, we get to meet people in Arkansas and they ask about our history. And there's something that, as far as the Quapaw people are concerned, it's just a minor blip in our history. It's an important blip, but not that huge. But for the state of Arkansas, it's a big deal. They always talk about it in their public education. They always talk about a man named Detonti, and they call him the father of Arkansas. And so I just wanted to mention, for anyone that gets a chance to interact with students in Arkansas, they always learn about this man named Detonti. And he was a French man who came and he founded the very first permanent European settlement on the Mississippi River and in what would later become Jefferson's Louisiana Purchase. His name was Detonti, and he founded that place in 1686, and it was known as the Arkansas Post. And when you're studying as an Arkansas student the history of Arkansas, that's where they start. They call him the father of Arkansas because he was the very first white person to build something in Arkansas. They leave out there's an unspoken part of that, though. He built it there because he was building an alliance with us, and he was invited to build it there by us, and he was trading with us. And so I like to always mention that to students in Arkansas, and anyone who gets the chance to interact with students in Arkansas, that's a nice thing, I think, because as far as we're concerned, he was just the first French man that built something near us, and he's not that huge of a deal to us. It's historically important, but we don't talk about him a lot. But they always talk about him because they call him the father of Arkansas. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that to our tribal members. If you get to interact with anyone, that's a really significant point that I think is nice to mention to them.
Thank you, Everett. Very interesting.
I have a
Anybody
question.
else? Oh.
I have a question about the taxes, the liquor tax. How are the tribes that don't pay the tax getting their liquor? Have you looked into that?
Same way as normal.
What?
It's the same way as normal.
Okay, because
there's not any difference in how they obtain their liquor than what anybody else does business.
Because we were threatened when we got our liquor license back in '04 that
this does not have an
we
effect
could
on
not
our
get
liquor
it.
license.
That we could not get it if we didn't pay the tax to the Able Commission. We would not be able to gain alcohol. That they would tell the companies that we were buying from in Oklahoma not to sell to us. So just make sure you still have an avenue to get your liquor if you don't pay the tax.
That's a good point. Yep. I saw another raised hand. Oh, Vance.
I failed to mention I have 4 hard copies just of the Constitution in case anyone does not have access to online, and that we're working on getting other methods of it circulated as well. But there are 4 hard copies right here if no one has access to getting online. Okay.
Thank you, Vance. Good morning.
Oh, wait, I just want to say Merry Christmas to everybody and all
Julia,
our
thank
Quapaw
you.
tribal members. I want to thank you guys up there for taking care of us. I'm grateful for you guys, and I hope you have a good, happy holidays, everybody.
And okay.
Thank you.
Frank.
Yeah, hello. I haven't talked in a while. Okay, if I'm not misunderstanding this, Vance did not say that the Constitution Committee had completed what they were doing. All he said was that Stanford had completed what they were asked to do. Stanford were volunteering to help us do a Constitution. We didn't employ them to create one and be done, the whole thing all over with. The Constitution Committee still has a timeline, which Vance explained earlier. So I don't know. I didn't understand Roman because I think that was all just a waste of voice. Because basically the Constitution has not been done. Vance says they're still on a timeline. They're still working on it. So I don't know where he come up with his questions.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you for that, Frank. Because I think there are a lot of people who don't understand what the actual process is, right? So the business committee terminated the initial Constitution Committee Well, so the interpretation, this committee's interpretation was that we completed the duty that the general counsel asked us to do, right? General counsel has only asked. He asked.
Please
okay.
make your statements. Frank raised a question. If you could help us understand the answer to that question, I think it would help everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So the business committee's interpretation of the initial committee was that once we completed the work that general counsel asked us to do, our duty was done, and the committee ceased to exist from that moment. Right? Is that fair? Is that an accurate? Okay. So general counsel has now asked your interpretation. Okay. This isn't our interpretation. General counsel, your interpretation is that general counsel has asked for the Constitution Committee, not necessarily the old one, but asked for the Constitution Committee to be the point of contact. Period. No other, and member Gives Water, to quote you, if general counsel wanted the business committee or the Constitution Committee to do something different, they should have been more explicit in what they said. That's okay. All they asked was well, you could leave. You're welcome to leave. You're welcome to leave. Yeah. And you're welcome to leave. If you don't like it, go.
Roman has been recognized. Let him speak.
According to your interpretation, the general counsel asked us to be the point of contact. Asked this committee. I wasn't on it at the time. Asked the committee to be the point of contact. Period. And that's it. Now, common sense. This is the question that I'm raising. Common sense says that there is still more work to be done, and that common sense must apply to the previous interpretation. And what I'm asking for this business committee is to either admit that your previous interpretation was inaccurate, because there is still more work to be done. They haven't said nothing. That's the whole point.
Hold on.
The whole point is that you haven't said anything. Your take and interpretation on the previous committee's work was done with other motives behind it. At the time, there was information that wasn't shared with the public that initiated some of these concerns that the business committee had about who should be the point of contact. Those were withheld not only from us, the general public, but they were also withheld from the business committee. So everything that came forward at that time was all a bunch of confusion, right? So either that was inaccurate, then the previous Constitution Committee should never have been dissolved, because common sense says there was additional work that should have been done. And that can't just stop in its application to the previous Constitution Committee. That's got to carry. I agree, there's work to be done. We know there's work to be done. But to allow the business committee to create precedent around how committees are terminated, who is the governing body over a general counsel subcommittee, has to be recognized. And there has to be more discussion around it. There can't be. So there is a lot more involved. If you're confused, Frank, that means that there's a lot of people who are confused about this whole process. And that's what we're speaking to, is general counsel asked for a specific thing, and that's what we did. We know there's more work to get done.
Thank you, Roman. Frank?
Okay, I agree with what Roman to the extent, but he's the one who got up at 4th of July and said, we have completed our task. He PowerPointed up there what they had done on a timeline. He said, this is our 3 recommendations that we think that should proceed from where we're at now. At that point, that Constitution Committee was done, because he said they had completed their task. He's the one that said they completed it. You guys didn't tell him he completed it. He said that. And you did get a new Constitution Committee, which they absolutely have been doing a great job. But I disagree with saying that the Constitution's finished, because all we have is a draft. Vance has been working with it. Yeah, Sanford said they've done what they're going to do, but they're not speaking for the Constitution Committee. They're speaking for Stanford and what they agreed to do. our Constitution Committee is still working on it. And Vance explained that earlier. He's got a timeline. He's going to do more meetings. We're going to meet with him again and everything. I think everything should just go ahead and proceed. I don't know. Roman wants a formal apology from you guys or what's going on or what, but I don't think he deserves one. I mean, he took up all this time, 5 years. I thought it was ridiculous. That's just my personal opinion.
Anybody else? Oh, Vance Gilmore.
Possibly for clarification, would it be possible to circulate the draft? I know they're not approved until our next Indian Council, but it seems to me that if we could circulate the minutes in draft form, it may clarify, because I just think that would clarify some things.
We'll consider that very seriously. I understand what you're saying, Vance. Okay. Member Mercer, could you close us out in prayer?
Meeting that we've had today. Be with our people that are ill. Lost loved ones. Steve, their hearts. Keep your personal hand around our elders as they come seeking heaven. Bill, safe travels. Give us all safe travels. Whichever direction life is taking.
Madam Chair, I move to adjourn.
Second.
Say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Are adjourned at 11:49, Steva.
Recording stopped.
We didn't meet the time.
Merry Christmas, Uncle. I love you.
Didn't meet the
Man,
time.
you went-
Christmas.
You want?
Yeah, I went
Be good.
way down.
And have
I really
fun.
like
Have
it.
fun.
I really like it.
Have fun.